We have details from this week's Conservation Commission meeting on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, June 22nd, 2016. I'm Sarah Mannel. A project to dredge Gateway Marina in Hyannis moves forward. The dredging project will improve conditions for boats using that marina. Christine Player of CLE Engineering presented plans during this week's Conservation Commission meeting.
If you're familiar with the site, it consists of two docks with slips that are held in place with pilings. The area was last authorized back in 1997 and dredged in 98-99 as part of the Army Corps of Engineers federal project. I don't know if any of you folks recall that project where the federal project involved the construction of in-water CAD cells. So the sediments at that time were dredged and disposed in water and capped. Unfortunately, we don't have the benefit of CAD cell disposal for this go-around. So it's been about 16 years since the site has been dredged, so we're before you to basically dredge the maintenance footprint, which consists of an area on the west side that is dredged to -6 with a 1-foot overdredge, a mid area that was previously dredged to -9, that would also include a 1-foot overdredge, and then this small area to the east, which would be dredged to -6 with a 1-foot overdredge. Again, those are the previously authorized and dredged depths that were implemented back in 1998. Collectively, these three areas result in a volume of about 3,700 cubic yards. The material is fine-grained. It is not suitable for beach nourishment. So what we're proposing are permitting two alternatives for dredge methodology. The preferred method that the town would like to go forward with would consist of a mechanical dredging operation on a barge with a crane or an excavator. And then provided that we can get a suitability determination from the Army Corps, we'd like to take this material offshore in a dump scow and dump it at the Cape Cod disposal site. For all of you, I don't know if Darcy handed out, but we did provide, just to kind of give you a familiarity of our site versus the Cape Cod Bay site. Obviously, it's not a straight shot. But given the volume we're looking is 3,700 cubic yards, that would be minimal scow trips that would be required. And the advantage to going with a mechanical dredge is everything is done in water. We're not dealing with land-based dewatering, transferring, trucking, and what have you. So that is the preferred alternative, preferred methodology. However, we are in the middle of doing the required testing for offshore disposal at Cape Cod Bay, and that's a biological testing regime that the Army Corps and the US EPA has put together for us to evaluate whether or not these sediments are clean enough for unconfined offshore disposal. We are waiting the last part of those tests. We should have that data available to us by the end of July, maybe early August, at which time that information will be sent to the Army Corps and the US EPA for determination to be made. Fingers crossed, that's how everything plays out. However, in case these sediments are not suitable to go to Cape Cod Bay, then we would be looking to do this hydraulically. And hydraulically would be done, again, with a hydraulic dredge, but we would have to use the small 8,500 square foot land area that's available on the town's marina parking lot. And because it's such a small space, it really limits us to how are we going to dewater the stuff. It's not sand, it's not readily going to dewater. So we're proposing to use a mechanical belt press operation, which is great because it's suitable for a very compact area. The material will be hydraulically dredged and pumped into a holding tank. It's treated with a polymer to separate the water from the fines. The belt press then squeezes the water out. A conveyor belt takes the dewatered material, puts it in a truck, and the truck hauls it away. It's a very neat, clean operation.
Expensive, I see.
But it costs twice as much as the mechanical option with offshore disposal. So there's a considerable cost that you pay because of the multiple handling efforts through the dredging, through the treatment, through the dewatering, through the trucking. Every time you say one step in that dredge process, it's adding up very quickly. So it's not the preferred way, but if this material is not deemed suitable for offshore disposal at Cape Cod Bay, then we do have to go to an upland site. And to do this mechanically with that small of area, it's just not feasible. So we're before you to ask, to authorize both a mechanical method with unconfined offshore disposal at Cape Cod Bay, and if we do not get suitability to go to Cape Cod Bay from the Army Corps and EPA, then the town would unfortunately, at a higher cost, be looking to do this hydraulically with a mechanical belt press operation and disposal at upland sites. And the 3 sites upland that we're looking at would include the Bourne landfill, and there's 2 sites in Dennis, the Robert Childs waste reclamation facility, and then there's a site nearby at the sand and gravel pit. So we are looking at that as a backup plan, and we will be seeking the approvals from DEP for any kind of upland reuse of dredge sediments.
And following that presentation, the Conservation Commission unanimously approved the project. The Conservation Commission also reviewed a plan for maintenance dredging in Barnstable Harbor. Christine Player of CLE Engineering talked about a slight change that needs Conservation Commission approval.
Back in Barnstable Harbor, just to kind of get everyone on the same page, the original orders that were issued for this project were for 2 sections of the entrance channel. There was the section, the outer entrance channel here, that's a little over 1,100 feet long, 60 feet wide, which is the outer channel, which is sandy material. That material is approved to be hydraulically dredged, and it was also approved to be placed at 4 different sites: Millway Beach, the Sandy Neck Cottage area, the Sandy Neck Lighthouse, and then the Sandy Neck Public Beach area. And this area was just finished. They just redredged it this January. So now we're moving into we're calling it the mid-entrance channel. We're trying to give a better definition to these sections of the channel. It gets a little confusing. Under the original order that was issued, and this area was dredged last in 2009, the material is not suitable for beach nourishment. As you move from this dividing line, you see sediments with less than 10% fines gradually increase in the fine content till you get to the end of the channel and you're about 50% fines. So that material, it's clean. It just, you can't put it on a beach. So under the original order, again, 60 feet wide, all of this channel 6 feet deep with a 1-foot over dredge. At the time, we had the Blish Point sediment containment basin, which was historically used time and time again to house the finer grain materials as you moved from the outer harbor into the inner harbor. Unfortunately, and as I'm sure all you folks are aware, we've had significant erosion issues out there. Last year, the town just invested considerable money to stabilize that with the sandbags and cover and vegetation. So it certainly is not a structurally viable alternative to open that thing up and pump in this material. Plus, we don't even have the capacity for the 3,500 cubic yards. So that brought us to the point of what are we going to do with the stuff? It's clean material. It's just not suitable for beneficial reuse on the beach. So we have done sediment testing as required by the Army Corps of Engineers and US EPA to evaluate whether or not the sediments are suitable to go to Cape Cod Bay. It's a really straight shot out there. It's a very quick journey out there. And in this particular case, unlike Gateway Marina, the first phase of testing that we did, the chemical analyses, that data that was reviewed by the Army Corps was adequate to make the determination that it could go without doing a biological phase of testing. So this material has been okayed by the Army Corps to be mechanically dredged, put in a dump scow, and go offshore to Cape Cod Bay. So basically, we're just asking under the amendment to switch the dredge methodology, which is needed for an offshore disposal project.
And the Conservation Commission also unanimously approved the plan for maintenance dredging in Barnstable Harbor. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 8 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we'll have our weekly community profile segment. We'll chat with Airport Manager Bud Brialt, plus we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.